I didn't want to get political on this channel, but I have to say something. Why is this boss fight so hard? Before we show off the new boss, let's switch over to Unscripted Atria to talk about some stuff that I've added since the last video. Alright, thanks Scripted Atria. So we're here in Game Maker, and I'm just going to click the play button real quick so we can see, do a little live tour of what I've done in the past couple weeks. So our first big new change is a title screen. So here we have the Vision Eye in the background and the new logo for the game. Oh, we can press any key to start and get in there. A little transition animation. And then we'll hit New Game, and it'll take us to the ever-familiar hub that you've seen in all of my videos. If you've watched any of my videos. Anyways, let's go to the new arena. So here we have our setup for selecting bosses, which I didn't show the placeholder, but it used to be just a little menu you could click on. Now it's a full hub. So we got 4 rows of 4 bosses each. And between each of these rows, there's going to be a little lock. So you have to beat all 4 bosses in each tier to move on to the next one. So for now, let's hit up Mr. Smiles and I can show you some changes I've made to the fights. So first of all, pause menu. Nothing crazy. I did have a pause menu placeholder before, but this is how it's going to look in the final game, carrying on the pink and green aesthetics that you see in the title screen. Alright, so now we're just going to kill ourselves real quick. Here we go. And one more. Bam. You saw this earlier at the start of the video, but this is the new game over screen. Nothing crazy, just a little text and some options. Let's hit retry. And now we're just going to cut to the end of this fight where I'll show you the final new thing that I've done for this. Alright, so now we're just about to finish off the boss, so let's get a couple hits in. Oh yeah, and I added new health UI too. Forgot to mention that earlier. Alright, let's get those couple hits in and show you guys the new results screen. And got him. So here's the results. You get your time, your damage, and a rank based on how well you did. And then, based on your rank, you make some money. And based on the difficulty of the fight. So that's about it. All I've got to show. Alright, now back to Scripted Atria to do the rest of the video. See you guys. The idea for this boss started a couple weeks back when I was thinking about how the flight in my game kinda controls like Flappy Bird. I started thinking about how I could incorporate a fight with mechanics inspired by that game. The original concept was a kind of space boss that had tentacles that would come out and try to grab you, and you had to fly between them like the pipes in Flappy Bird. I was messing around with the design on paper, and I just couldn't find an angle that I liked, so I decided to change the direction and make the fight against this giant American eagle instead. That's where the idea for Shotbeat came from. I thought, what's more American than a giant eagle with wings made of guns that shoots bullets to propel himself through the skies? So I was working on this design and I wanted to play into the silliness of it, just stuffing so many different types of guns into the thing to form a silhouette of a wing. The eagle itself has this intense look on its face, with a sharp angular beak to really sell how angry it is, and some shadows under the eyebrow to make it even more menacing. I also gave it these tiny chicken legs that are just comically small compared to the rest of the body, because there's nothing more American than skipping leg day. I finished up the sprite and moved into Game Makers to start programming the fight as usual. At first I was playing with the idea that the player would have infinite flight, and that they'd have to maintain their airtime to stay alive throughout the fight. It was a fun idea on paper, but in practice there was just too much going on between flying, dodging attacks, and aiming, so I decided to scrap the mechanic and have a little cloud platform follow you around instead. I gave the cloud platform a little squish when you step on it by scaling down its sprite just a bit, and a bounce back up when you jumped off of it, and it follows around so you always have a place to land. Next I started playing with some attack concepts. I had already made this flying animation for the bird, so I decided that that would be a good place to start for its first attack. I made it so that every time he flaps his wings downward, it unleashes a torrent of bullets, and you have to kind of squeeze your way into the middle of things. From there, my next attack was planned to be an attack where Shotbeak goes off to the side and starts aiming his gun wings at you, and shooting big rounds of bullets to your position. It was kind of fun to play around that attack, but ultimately, I decided that I'd already have enough attacks in the game that played like that, and I wanted something more different. So I had to have him oscillate the gun up and down, and create different angled shots for the player to avoid instead, kinda like he's controlling the space rather than the player is by moving around. Next, I figured I would get more mileage out of all these gun sprites that I drew, so I gave him a really silly attack where he gets tired of shooting bullets and he just tosses the entire gun at you. This attack is pretty multifaceted, because you have to dodge the gun itself, as well as the bullets that spiral out of it as it falls through the air. At this point, you might have forgotten that this fight was inspired by Flappy Bird, but fear not, the original concept lives on through this next attack. Shotbeak creates a line of bullets, leaving a gap big enough to fly through, and sends them out at a steady pace. With careful flying, it should be pretty simple to fly through the open spaces in the bullets. Unlike Flappy Bird, I'll try not to delete my game off of Steam if it gets too popular. But no promises. Finally, because it's a giant bird boss fight, I just had to include an attack where Shotbeak swoops down to grab you. He'll fly just off screen, and then come screeching down, firing off bullets diagonally to get in the way while you try to fly over him. Adding that secondary attack makes it so that you'll have to pay attention, even after you've cleared Shotbeak's swoop. Alright guys, I know that was a scalding hot political take at the start of the video, but I'm gonna say something even more controversial. If you're watching this with a kid, it might be best to cover their ears, because I'm about to say something so political it might get me cancelled, put on a spit, and torched by an angry mob. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I also have a Discord, and I've been told that I don't tell people about it often enough, so if you want to stay up to date with the game and get early previews of the videos, join up. Thanks for watching, and be sure to stick around for an unedited recording of Shotbeak's fight. See you next video, where I'll fill up the game with little rats until my computer explodes.